Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a new series. I hope we have a good time with this. I think this is going to be really, really interesting because it's all about speculation. We don't have to deal with any facts whatsoever. Isn't that nice? I know, seriously. I want you to really put your thoughts to this. It's called You Be the Producer, because we are all criticizing the classical music industry and classical music recordings and the way that they're made, the people who do it. We have a good time doing that. You think we could do better? Do you think you could do better? Well, there are millions and millions of pieces which we wish our favorite artists had recorded, but they didn't. And so here is the opportunity for you to become the producer and tell me and everyone else which only three recordings, and we have to do more than one because you have to show that you could produce and have some ideas behind just like one work, but we can't go crazy, right? And the speculation does kind of run rampant after a while. So which three works do you wish your artist, living or dead, makes no difference, had recorded, or you want them to record if the possibility still exists? So I am beginning with, I'm seizing the bull by the horns with Wilhelm Furtwängler. And the reason I'm beginning with Wilhelm Furtwängler is because everybody seems to admit that he was a great conductor, but his recordings so seldom support that contention. They're usually a mess. Some of them were really good. Some of them were good enough to sustain the claim that he, at least had the potential to be a great conductor. Certainly, he was intriguing enough, and in his best recordings, great enough for sure, to make us want to have work by him captured in the best possible circumstances, where everything went right, where the orchestra was terrific, where the sound was good because he hated making recordings. And we need to have him represented in absolutely pristine fashion, as though you were there at one of his most inspired live performances. So I have three works here that I really, really want to hear. Now, you can come up with three that you want to hear by Furtwängler, which he never recorded, or you can just go off on any other artist who interests you. We're not going to be strict about these things. I suggest the following three works. Number one, Stravinsky, The Rite of Spring. Well, he premiered The Rite of Spring in New York in 1925. That was the New York premiere. I can't for the life of me imagine what that must have sounded like. Rhythm was not Furtwängler's specialty, and big, complex textures were not his specialty, and they are Stravinsky's specialty in The Rite of Spring. And so I am awfully, awfully curious to see what what sounded like. Now, of course, orchestras in those days were far more fallible than they are today. People would have been tolerant of a lot more messiness, but something tells me that was some performance worth checking in on. So I wish he could have recorded it. I really do. In his best possible, satisfying way. I want him to be happy. I want him to be satisfied. Whether the rest of us will be satisfied, that is the question. Number two, Nielsen's Fifth Symphony, another work that Furtwängler conducted very early on in its career, in the 1920s, I believe. This is a work that I think would have suited him. It's a piece of great seriousness, extraordinary nobility of utterance. The language is certainly within the German tradition that he would have been familiar with, what he should have felt comfortable leading. The second movement, particularly with its two fugues and its very thoughtful, slow passages, and the adagio in the first movement as well, I somehow get a sense that he could have responded very sympathetically to this music, and I'm excuse me, and I'm very curious to see if that's the case. I could be wrong, but it would have been something that I think would have. I don't know. I could, like I said, I could be wrong. I'm just repeating myself. I do wish he had made the recording and we had the opportunity to listen to it now. And for sure, although whatever he did with the Rite of Spring would not have mattered about the Rite of Spring, I think it would have put the Nielsen symphonies on the map if he had devoted a really loving and caring performance of the Fifth Symphony to disc. If he committed that to disc. That would have been an iconic recording. Even if it was a disaster, it would have been important. So there's that one. And last but not least, we have to talk about Beethoven's Ninth. Yes, we do. Why? Because there are no great Furtwängler performances of that work that realize everything that he brought to the table. Some of them are crazier and more wild. Some of them are better played. The best of all, on average, is what the Lucerne performance, the Lucerne Festival performance with the Philharmonia from, I think it was 1953-ish or thereabouts. That's the best of them all. But I would so much love to hear him do this work, to hear a recording of this work where everything goes right, that combines the best qualities of all of those other ones that people swear by that have just terrible, terrible lapses all over the place. It's a shame. It's almost like it's like the Calas Traviata, the one that she never made, which could be in an upcoming episode of this series. Just something that was iconic. It was a work that he stood by, that had incredibly distinctive vision and interpretation, but we don't have a really, really great recording of it. And I think that would be just marvelous. But it's not to be. Maybe with AI. Ooh, who knows? Some people would say, wouldn't it be ironic? We just say, wouldn't it be ironic if Furtwängler's greatness is realized by AI rejigglings of his recordings so that all the defects are fixed and the sound is improved and we actually get to hear what one of his interpretations would have sounded like under ideal conditions? I mean, he would be having a nervous breakdown, wouldn't he? Because he was all about, humanity and organic this and wholeness and all of that, falderall. But, who knows? Stay tuned. I, for one, would welcome the chance if that can happen. So keep on listening, friends. Send me your 3 recordings that you produced with the artists that you love the most that they never did, but could only have done if you did it with them. Keep on listening, friends. I already said that, didn't I? Never mind. You're going to keep on listening, aren't we? Take care.